All right, well, good evening. Welcome everyone to the Idaho Digital Literacy webinar. And so this evening, we will take a minute and walk you through the new aligned course. So welcome again, and thanks for joining us. As we get started this evening, I'll just introduce myself quickly. I'm Allison Drake. I am a professional development specialist at CodeHS. I've been in education for a little over 10 years in a variety of different roles, and so excited to dive in with you all this evening. So I'll be walking us through looking at the course, and then we also have Danielle here. I'll let Danielle say hi quickly.
Hi, I'm Danielle Santilli. I'm also a professional development specialist here at CodeHS. I used CodeHS as a classroom teacher for several years, and I'm excited to be with you guys tonight.
Thanks, Danielle. Danielle will be, well, both of us, but Danielle will really be monitoring the chat and the Q&A this evening. So if you all have questions or comments or anything like that, we suggest that you use the regular Zoom chat feature just for comments and engagement. And then if you have a question, we encourage you to use the Q&A feature, which I'll show you a little screenshot of in just a minute. But would love to take a quick second and get any introductions from those of you all that are here with us. So if you just want to take a minute, I know we're all from Idaho. Well, you all are all from Idaho. So if you want to just introduce, say your name, you can say a little bit about your experience teaching computer science if you would like, and what part of Idaho you're from. And so you can go ahead and use the chat, and then we'll move forward in just a second. I can find my chat here.
It's saying that the chat feature has been disabled.
Oh, I see. All right, try it now. I think it should be working now. So I'll give you a few seconds in case anyone wants to respond. Nice. Thanks, Cassie. Casey, Cassie. I'll give just a few more seconds here. All right. How we're going to spend our time together this evening. We're going to talk about what is CodeHS for those of you who are not familiar with our platform, and highlight just a little bit of some of the tools and resources that we have. And then we'll take a deep dive into the Idaho Digital Literacy course, and then we will share some resources and kind of next steps to help you all get started. I mentioned already about the Q&A feature. Looks like a few of us already know how to use it. If you're not familiar with the webinar and Q&A feature, it's at the bottom in your tool or wherever your Zoom toolbar may be. And you can click the Q&A, and then that's what I said. Danielle will be answering any questions there. All right, so for some of what we're going to do this evening, you will need a CodeHS account if you do not have one. And so Danielle is going to drop for you in the chat how you can sign up for an account and how you can sign up for free. You'll also need this account at the end if you're interested in getting a certificate of attendance or anything like that. So if you want to take a second and click that link once she drops it in the chat. And so you can click teacher account and make sure that when you do sign up that you're signing up with your school email address. And so that way any communication or anything moving forward can go to that school email address. So just take a second, sign up for free. Give you a few minutes there. Yep, Danielle will post that link for you
Sorry, I think I,
again.
I think I posted it to the wrong message board, but it
Oh,
should be on there now.
thanks, Danielle. Give you just another minute here. All right, I'll move us forward. Let us know or ask any questions in the chat if there's anything that we can help with. All right, so what is CodeHS? CodeHS is a comprehensive platform for teaching computer science, and we teach in elementary, middle school, and high school. So even though we are CodeHS, we span K through 12, and so regardless of which grade that you're teaching, we have tons of resources available for teachers and in the classroom for your students. We provide web-based computer science curriculum. It works both online and offline in terms of our professional development. So you can kind of see a snippet of that tonight, even though this is a webinar. We do offer also like live PD sessions. And so those are an option. And then we have a full software platform with tons and tons of teacher tools and resources, including, lesson plans and problem guides, and projects and all kinds of stuff on there. So some of our favorite tools, we have tons of instant feedback and submission system tools, grading tools, tracking tools for teachers. And again, all of this is web-based, which is really nice. So it doesn't require any additional downloads or no additional plugins or anything like that. If you have more questions about what we offer at CodeHS, also feel free to put those into the Q&A and we can get back to you there. All right, so now we are going to dive into the course. So Idaho Digital Literacy is the name of the course. In this course, students will learn the importance of safeguarding our increasingly digital world from unauthorized access. Students will also be introduced to the fundamentals of computer programming and how to design, code, and test programs. And so there is a specific course overview or course landing page. Danielle has dropped the link to that in the chat if you want to open it and follow along, or you can feel free to just take a look up at my screen. So this whole page here is dedicated specifically to the Idaho Digital Literacy course. You can see here this course is designed for high school level, and it's designed to be taught in a semester or about 60 contact hours. I'll scroll down a little bit and highlight some of the modules that are within the course, and then we'll take time a little bit later in this webinar to kind of look into them more. But as you can see, students will learn about cybersecurity, including key areas such as personal data collection, the reliability of online information, cyber ethics and laws. Students will learn about technology and society and the various impacts there in modern life. Students learn some basic Python and console interaction. Students will create a program or a project that allows them to create a Mad Lib story. Students learn conditionals. They do another project where they're creating a quiz game. Students learn how to use loops as shortcuts. Students create another project where they write a program, a really fun one that's called Password Authenticator. And then at the end, students are introduced to the concept of a remix, which is reusing and modifying an existing program created by another student. And so they do that there at the end. So this, again, overview page kind of gives you an idea of the modules that are available within the course. We can see a little bit further by clicking here to exploring the full course. And so once I click here, you can see the different lessons that are within each of the modules. So within that first cybersecurity and you module, there are 8 lessons. As you can see, they're numbered 1.1, 1.2, right? 1.3 is lesson 3, lesson 4, lesson 5, all the way to lesson 8. And that goes a little bit deeper into what the lessons are within the modules. So you can see here for the first module, there is a digital footprint and responsibility lesson, personal data and collection lesson, can all information be trusted, cyber ethics and laws, personal data security, cybersecurity essentials, common cyber attacks and prevention, and then each of the modules also end with a quiz. And so we can take a look here. Our technology and society module has five lessons: impact of the internet, embedded systems, data as a resource, human and AI. And this one here ends with a project. I won't read through all of them, but I'll just highlight. We have basic Python and console. This one here has 8 lessons. Here's that project. So you can see the project is just the one lesson within the module. Our module of conditionals has 6 lessons. It ends in that quiz. And then another project, which is just the one lesson within itself. And then the looping has 5 lessons and ends in a quiz. And there's that project, password authenticator, and then remixing a project, which are just standalone lessons by themselves. So an overview here of all of the modules and all of the lessons that are within the course. And we'll have time in a little bit. We'll take a look inside of 2 different lessons so you can kind of get an idea of what those lessons look like when they are taught to your students. And let's go back. Additionally, so this course, as you may know, which may be why you're here, is 100% mapped to the Idaho computer science standards. So there's 21 of those standards. And so this page here, Danielle linked it for us in the chat, but this page here, what this does is it shows the standard over here on the left. So your high school computer science 1.4, create or modify a program that uses different forms of input and output. And then over here on the right, it's really nice because it links the lessons that are aligned to each of the standards. And so, if you're looking to teach one of these specific standards, you can come over here and it'll show you the exact lesson that you need to teach. So we can pick this one, standard 3.2, explain the social and economic implications associated with unethical computing practices. We have lesson 1.4, which is cyber ethics and laws, or that project 2.5, project and on trial. So you can click and it's right there. I'll show you more about how to get there again in just a second. But I will give you just a second to look over the standards if you want to do that. And you can, if you would like, also just click into some of the lessons and kind of see what that looks like. And then we'll keep going. And if you have questions or comments, let us know either in the chat or use the Q&A feature. All right, and so now we're going to take a look a little bit deeper and we're going to look at the syllabus for the course. And so if she hasn't already, Danielle will drop the syllabus into the chat so that you can follow along. You see here at the top, again, it shares the course overview and the goals. So in this course, students will gain a comprehensive understanding of the digital world that they navigate every day. They will learn the importance of safeguarding our increasingly digital world from unauthorized access, ensuring the privacy and integrity of data. Students will also be introduced to the fundamentals of computing with an emphasis on helping students develop logical thinking and problem-solving skills. Students will learn to design, code, and test their programs while applying mathematical concepts. So we see that course overview and those goals here. I'm at the top of the syllabus. As we continue to look, it highlights what the best learning environment for this course. And so this one utilizes a blended classroom approach. So that means it's a mix of web-based and physical activities. As we just kind of looked at previously, the module is broken down into lessons. So we looked at those modules. I walked through kind of an overview of each of the lessons. In each of the lessons, which we'll see in a minute when we go deeper into one of the lessons, but we have a variety of different activity types. And so there are video tutorials, there's interactive learning pages, there are quizzes, there are explorations, there's simulations, and free response prompts. And so each of those modules, as we saw, as we looked through, ends with a comprehensive quiz that assesses the student's mastery of the module's material. This link here is the course overview, which we took a look at earlier, just kind of that high level landing page, but it's there for you and for students again in the syllabus. Additionally, the syllabus shares any prerequisites that may be needed for the course. And so for this course specifically, as you can see, it's designed for complete beginners who need no previous background in computer science. And so we've made sure that the course is highly visual and dynamic and interactive, so it's engaging for students who may be coming in with limited computer science background knowledge. Also shares in the syllabus some technology requirements. And then as we scroll a little bit further, it has the course breakdown. So what we see again is the same modules, right? Starting with module one, cybersecurity and you, moving on to module two, technology and society. But in the syllabus here, we can see that it's broken down into the suggested amount of time for completing this module. So about 10 hours or 2 weeks for the first module, about 8 hours or 1.5 weeks for the second module. And then it shares the topics covered in each of the module as well as some of the example assignments. So I will give you a minute here. And it does that, of course, for all of the um, modules within the course. So I'll give you a second to look through. You can think about the amount of time or how the suggested pacing is here. You can look at the different topics that are covered and some of the example assignments that are assigned to each of the lessons. Give you just another minute here. All right, we'll keep us going. Continue to let us know if you have questions. And what we're going to look at now is we're going to take a look at a couple of different lessons. And so as if you just signed up for a teacher account, or this is your first time using CodeHS or as a free user, just want to highlight the first 5 lesson plans of the course are available to you for free. And so that's what we'll take a look at here and know then after that it is a upgraded pro feature to be able to access the lesson plans. But what we're going to do now, a couple of different, well, depending on where you are, Danielle is going to drop the direct link in the chat to the lesson. If you still have this main page up here, you can select explore the full course and it'll bring you here. And we're going to take a look at lesson 1.1, digital footprint and responsibility. So you can you can go to it from the course overview page, or you can go to it directly in the chat and select lesson 1.1. So this would be the very first lesson that students are doing in the very first module of the course. So you can see the lesson description. In this lesson, students explore, the impacts of being online. Students reflect on social media use and their digital footprint, as well as learn how to identify and respond to cyberbullying. The objective, so students will be able to, I'll give you a quick second before I read over it and then highlight some. So they'll do some analyzing of the impact of social media, They'll explain some of their digital footprint, analyze their own digital footprint, define cyberbullying, and explain how to respond to cyberbullying. So then, as we continue, these are all the activities that are included in the lesson. And so, if you remember previously, I mentioned that CodeHS, we offer a lot of different activity types. And so we have some articles, which we'll look into in just a second. We have some reflections and we have videos. And so you can see here the first activity, 1.1.1, teens, social media and technology. So I'll just quickly open that so you can kind of see what that resource is like. This one is a PDF article. Excuse me. Over here on the right, it highlights or it gives an overview of what the article is about, and then also tells students what the free response questions are that they'll be responding to after they read the article. So I'll give you a second for you to preview the article and look through it. You can preview the overview of the article if you would like, and then we'll look at another activity type. And so once students complete reading over this article, I'll just come back over here. They would move to the next activity type, which is 1.1.2, and this one is a reflection. And so it'll open, and if you remember those same questions that were previewed, excuse me, before students actually started reading the article, now they're here. So what do you notice? What do you wonder? What's going on in this data visualization, and where would you place yourself? Students can click get started, and now they can respond to the question. So I noticed, I wonder, and they could type their response. They would submit their response here. After students completed the reflection, they would move again. We won't spend as much time here this time, but they would have another article regarding social media. So again, over here, right, it shows them the questions that they should be thinking about, that they will be reflecting on after they read the article. And then they would share their responses here. And asking them to reflect on their own digital footprint. Here's some questions, right? What are the main reasons an employer would look at an applicant's social media account? To what extent are social media accounts private? What can you do to ensure your social media accounts are viewed positively by employers? And then some additional questions asking for students to search themselves on Google and kind of finding their own digital footprint to see what comes up in their search, which is a fun activity for them to do. So students would type their responses again in here, which is what we call our code editor or within our IDE, and then they would submit their assignment. And I'll show you another activity type here. So there is a video, cyberbullying notebook. And so this case, students have as you see, like video, or sometimes their slides. Sometimes the slides are narrated or it is an actual true video, but here students are working through this notebook to learn the basics of cyberbullying. And then there is also an option, of course, if students are having issues with accessing it through Google Slides for whatever reason, they can access the slides as a PDF. And so students have the ability to click over here, or they can work through the slides like this. This one does have an actual video embedded in the slides. There's also a link, an alternative link to video here in case your school maybe has YouTube blocked or something like that. Other ways for your students to access. And then continuing to learn about cyberbullying basics. Another little video case study here asking students to think about, is it cyberbullying? Again, with another alternative video link here in case students are unable to access on YouTube. Excuse me, here students are learning about what is cyberbullying, including the most common places where cyberbullying occurs. Some additional special concerns, and then what to do if a student experiences or witnesses any type of cyberbullying. And so walks through the steps to report and the steps that students should take immediately in case something like that were to happen. So you see there, this is a little bit of a different activity type. That one included some more videos and things like that. And you can see that it's indicated by this little video icon instead of the light bulb, which was the PDF articles, or this icon here, which was a student reflection where they were typing their responses. I'll give you just a second if you want to look at the other two activities that we didn't have a chance to click through. All right. And so now we'll look at, excuse me, another lesson that comes up a little bit later in the course. And so this is lesson 7.1. And this is one of the coding lessons. And so I'll show you this one just so you can get an idea of what that would look like for students. And so this here is within our platform now on CodeHS. And so this is the lesson plan feature. Again, this is a little bit later in the module. So if you're on the free version for now, you may not see this one. I'm not sure if you can see it for now, but I'll walk you through so you know what it looks like, and then we'll take a look at the activity types together. So lesson 7.1, while loops. The description of this lesson is in this lesson. Students learn to use while loops in their Python programs. While loops allow code to be executed repeatedly based on a condition. Excuse me. They also reminded of the possibility of creating an infinite loop, which occurs if they exit the condition of the while loop is never met, causing the code inside the while loop to repeat continuously. So this lesson plan here within our platform, it has the same components that we just looked at in the other way that we looked. It's just, again, within our platform. So here are the objectives. Students will be able to effectively use while loops in their programs and then detect and resolve infinite loops. Here are the activities in this lesson. We'll take a look a little bit further in just a second. But we can see again, there's a video. This time there's a check for understanding quiz. There are some examples that students will look at, and then students are actually completing the exercise themselves. I'll click into the activities in just a second. Additionally, now here you would have access to the solution references. And so this will actually show you the answers to what it is that students are being asked when they take the quiz. So those things are here. Additionally, there are problem guides. And so the problem guides give just a little bit more context and background into what it is that the students are doing when they're doing some of the actual coding projects, including some common questions, which is really helpful. So it helps address those misconceptions that students might frequently ask. And then it also would include some AI grading rubrics. So those are the problem guides. If there is any vocabulary words, they would be listed here. Additionally, there would be handouts that you could use to supplement in your class. And so those handouts are available here. There's, of course, a teacher copy and a student copy. You can see here an example of what the handout would look like. And then as you scroll down, this is where it really gets into the kind of the actual like teaching lesson plan. So starting with how to open or launch the lesson with students, have students brainstorm in this case, or write down answers to some discussion questions below, suggesting that students can work individually or in groups or pairs and then have them share the response. And then it's nice because it shares a recommended or suggested amount of time to spend on this part of the lesson. So here, 5 minutes. Another suggestion for 5 to 15 minutes. Of course, the range depending on how much time you actually have in your class with your students. But here's the activity here, and then the lesson closer, have students reflect and discuss their responses in the end of class discussion, and a recommendation of about 5 minutes to do that. It also has that prior knowledge here. So what should students know before engaging in this lesson? And then the slides that accompany this lesson. I'll show you in a second when I go back to the top. Students would have access to either the video or slides. So I'll show you what the video looks like in a minute, but that's also here. And then keep going. There are the discussion questions that are listed for the beginning of the class and the end of class, and then even some differentiation suggestions here at the bottom to modify if you need to make the lesson more advanced, or maybe need to scaffold it back a little bit, or even for English language learning students. So lots and lots of good stuff available when you use CodeHS. I mentioned look at some of the different activities. So 7.1.1, the first activity, students have access to watch the video. So I'll just play quickly since we haven't seen one yet, so you can kind of get an idea of what a CodeHS video looks like.
Hi. In this video, we move away from the theory of Boolean logic as we dig into a new fundamental programming construct, the while loop. While loops are challenging to understand when you see them for the first time, so don't worry if you haven't mastered them after the first example. To motivate the need for this new thing, the while loop, I'd like to revisit this diagram. Recall that an if statement allows you to do something unless a condition is false. If the condition is false, nothing gets printed. What if you want to do something until a condition becomes false? Okay, let's look at an actual program where that might be useful. Imagine you wrote a program that allows someone to try to guess a number. If they guess incorrectly, they don't get to try again. At the top on the right, you can see what the code for this program might look like. Now, instead of just giving the user a single guess, what if we want to let the user keep guessing until they guess correctly? We can do that with a while loop.
Cow.
A while loop is a programming construct that allows you to repeat.
All right, I'll pause it there so you can, hopefully you got an idea. And so I mentioned our lessons, they'll start with a video, or students can also come up here to the top and they can select slides. And so by selecting slides, it requires students to do a little bit more of the heavy lifting. And it's the same slides that are accompanied in the video, except for this time it is without the narration. And so you and students will have access or have the opportunity to decide if you want to actually listen to the video, which is narrated by one of our team members, or go through the slides, but they both display the same information there. We can take a look at a check for understanding quiz since we haven't done one before. So this is an example of what a quiz looks like, right? Give some, this is just giving us a little instructions here. That's an example, but there's a quick 2-question quiz, right? And so here's the first question. How many lines will this program print? You can select an answer and then it will require students to check right here. Notice that it'll indicate an incorrect answer or a correct answer if that is something that you want your students to see when they are in class. So we also have lots of opportunities for different configurations and different settings, really just depending on what it is that you're trying to do in your class. And then there's the second question, right? I'll just select an answer. Again, that would show me we got 0 out of 2 on this quiz, but as you can see, this is what a check for understanding quiz would look like for students. Here is an example of a coding example. And so this activity type here, this is where students are actually now getting into the code editor and getting into the IDE. So the next that they are prepared to complete an exercise all by themselves. So this one says, this program repeatedly asks the user to guess a number. The program only finishes when the user guesses correctly. As you explore this example, think about the following. Why are the commands on lines 10 and 15 the same? Do we need both of these for the commands to run for the program to work correctly? Explain. And so here, right, as we see, the code is already given, and it is an example. So if we run, it should already work. I can enter a guess. I might guess 3. Let's guess again. 7, right? I can say guess again, whatever it may be. I think the secret number is 10. Right, so now it says, good job, you got it. So the goal here is that students are engaging with the example so that then next they are able to actually complete an exercise on their own. So write a program that prints even numbers 2 through 20 while using a while loop. And so at this point, right, the idea is that students have watched the video, they've gone through the examples, they've done the check for understanding quiz. And so now students are able to complete this program by their own. Students have a couple of different tools and features up here also that can help them and support them in getting it done. But over here is where they could actually come to start to write their code, write a program. Well, I won't take time for us to do it right now, but this is where students would actually like come in and start to do their code. And then they would have like their while loop in here, but they would start to type that out there. So here, had the opportunity to see one of the lessons within the course. This one is focused on Python programming. Any questions or anything here as we get ready to wrap up? All right. So lastly, sorry, let me advance my slides a little bit. Lastly, just want to share a reminder of some of the other resources that we have available for you all after this webinar ends. And so a couple of different things. One is we have some micro credentials, and so you have the opportunity to become a CodeHS certified educator. Danielle has dropped the link to that, to all of these things in the chat. We also have a Facebook group, and so if you are on social media, you can join that Facebook group. It's really nice to be able to connect with other educators in your state, but also in other states, ask questions, best practices, share resources, and all of those things. So we have a Facebook group, and then we also are on social media. We're on Instagram, we're on X, we're on a bunch of different things. We're on YouTube. So if you're a social media person, feel free to check us out and follow us there. And then additionally, we do have a number of free PD workshops that we offer. And so that is linked in the chat also, but we have a number of different webinars. We don't have any Idaho specific ones coming up yet, but if you click the free PD link, you can get an idea kind of what kind of additional webinars that we offer. So, and here we are, teaching Idaho Digital Literacy. All right, then almost last but not least, would love if you could take a minute and fill out a webinar survey. Danielle has dropped that in the chat. You just take a second and fill that out to the best of your ability. Provide us with any feedback so that we can continue to be support and continue to be helpful for you all. And then once you complete the webinar feedback survey, you, for attending tonight, you also will get a certificate of completion if that's something that you're interested in. And so Danielle will put that in the chat also. For once you complete the survey, you can click that, and then the certificate of completion will be emailed to the email that you used when you logged into CodeHS. So you will need to be logged into your CodeHS account to complete the to complete the certificate of completion link. And once you click it, it'll just say like this: thanks for letting us know you attended the event. Nothing for you to do, assuming that you're still signed in. If you're not still signed in, you might need to go back and sign back in, but it'll just look like this. And then that's how you can get your certificate of completion. I'll give you a second to get those things done. And then if you are interested in bringing CodeHS to your school or to your district, there is a link in the chat for you to learn more. So we would love to hopefully see you again at a future PD. Let us know if you have any questions as you fill out the feedback survey, making sure that if you are interested in your certificate of completion, that you click that link. And then, of course, if you're interested in learning more, you can take that link and save it, and let us know if you have any questions. Thanks, everyone, for taking the time to join us this evening. Hopefully, you got some insight into what is available in the Idaho Digital Literacy course, something that we're really excited about. Hopefully make it easier for you all to meet those standards in your classroom with tons and tons of resources and fun activities and projects for students. And so let us know if there's anything else that you need. And thank you for your time this evening.